Ever found yourself thinking or even saying, why does this always happen to me when having to go through another breakup? Have you ever found yourself staying in a relationship for longer than your self respect will accept because it was easier to handle the pain of staying in a relationship because it was familiar as opposed to going through the pain of leaving them? This is incredibly true for me. There's been times in my past where I would rather create an environment where I fit their idea of what a relationship is than to meet my own needs and have my desires met. That's the level of self-respect that I've had in my life. My relationship with dealing with pain has been so hostile, I wouldn't even dive into those waters. More often than not, I had to be left to get to where I need to be. This is why I believe in God. Because God knows this pain and sometimes He will remove in order to replace. Because God knows what I want more than anything. This is why I'm holding myself accountable on a daily to ensure that I stay on track with God's plan for my life and not my idea of what it should be. I am very emotional and driven by feelings, but my feelings have often deceived me by creating a narrative that simply is not true. The narrative where they change into this perfect person that fits my love language and attachment perfectly, but they never would. Thank goodness that my exes were stronger than I was, because if it wasn't for them leaving me and forcing me to face the discomfort of navigating my life on my own without them, I would stay put in a situation that was not for me. Can you relate to the feeling of complete disgust thinking back at your life and the things that you have tolerated? Do you ever cringe at your own behavior knowing you completely disregarded yourself and put a person who doesn't even truly respect you before yourself? Here's the curveball though. Have you acknowledged your responsibility in all of this? I said it before and I'll say it again. The way I view people is that it's two kinds of people in the world, the victim and the victor. A victim will use what happened to them as an excuse to stay put in their situation. A victim is in denial of their own participation in the dynamic and blames everyone around them for what is wrong in their life. A victor uses what happened to them as fuel to progress in life. A victor analyzes and learn from their situation to create an environment where they can prevent history from repeating itself. A victim stays stuck, and a victor takes accountability for how they progress from this moment on. My desire with this episode is for all of us to walk away as victors from this day forward. I want the sound of my voice to ring in the back of your head when you're acting like a victim, to remind you to get your act together and recognize that you alone is responsible for how your life turns out. They cheated on you. You chose a cheater. That sucks. That hurts. You thought you could trust them and you couldn't. But here's the thing though. It is a risk falling in love. It is a major risk because you put yourself in a situation where you're at risk of experiencing significant pain. But without that risk, there's no true and meaningful love either. You cannot experience one without the other. It is how you deal with the situation that will determine who you are. It is when I recognized and agreed with this truth that I was able to fully enjoy love and embrace pain. And this truth being, I am a good choice. I am a good choice. You can do whatever you want, but I know that I am a good choice. And it is not my responsibility to convince another man. You can speak loudly about who you want to be, but you are how you act. Meaning if you take back a cheating boyfriend, that's on you. They have showed you who they are. I must say that I do believe there are exceptions to every rule, and we all have to walk that path on our own pace because it is a painful and tricky process, and I want to be mindful of that, but just recognize that with each proof that they're not respecting you, mentally take them off of the pedestal. We desperately cling on to control and we want to prove them that we're better. But in reality, we are only letting them use us and take advantage of us. The best way to show an unfaithful person your worth is by showing them how you feel about their behavior. When cheating is a non-negotiable, you walk away. Important disclaimer is that I don't believe that this holds true if you're married and there is children involved. This advice is for a single individual seeking a life partner, someone to build a life with, someone to build a family with. I hold a completely different standard for people with sacred commitments and children. But when you stay in a dishonest relationship, you're saying that their needs are more important than yours, and you're only truly confess how you see yourself. Once they learn this, that's how they see you too. I want you to walk away from this episode practicing authenticity. Authenticity is the quality of being genuine or real. It is to be true to who you are, your values, your talents, your feelings, your intuition, and your passion. Did you know that the highest frequency is authenticity? People, including myself, believe it's love, but I've learned recently that when a person has authenticity, that is when they reflect their highest self. When you have authenticity, you recognize when your needs aren't met and you communicate it without hesitation. Communication is uncomfortable for anyone, but the sooner you get into the habit of addressing uncomfortable topics in any of your relationships, this includes friends, family, and colleagues, the sooner you will get familiar with navigating the uncomfortable emotions that arises in those situations. I often hear people say, I have tried to say to him 1,000 times, but he doesn't listen, or I have tried everything, but it's not helping. Yet you still stay in the situation. So you're saying that communicating didn't work, yet you're staying. And now your staying is communicating. It doesn't matter if you don't listen to me. I'm not going to leave you anyway. A person with authenticity and integrity will communicate how they feel and when their needs aren't met, and they leave that environment. A person with authenticity chooses themselves first and foremost. They know they are a good choice. And when you know you're a good choice, you do not tolerate behavior you would not provide. You create an environment where having uncomfortable conversations are welcomed and navigated with grace. A secure person is a person with authenticity. So, who do you want to be? Ladies, this one is for you. Have you ever asked yourself why they move on so much faster than we do? It's actually not true. It's just that heartbreak manifests differently for men and for women. When a man breaks up, they feel an instant sense of relief, which is why they tend to go out and blow off steam most immediately. Women tend to grieve their loss right away. However, there's exceptions to every rule. If you're anything like how I've been, and you struggle to handle the void, then you might just be a rebound girl who seeks validation to feel a sense of control and validate your ego. Because remember how much it hurts the ego to get broken up with? It makes sense that one will want some external validation when experiencing the blow a breakup is. I'm never going to stop harping on how important it is to know yourself, though, because when you truly know yourself, you're able to stop yourself from acting with your ego. Pleasing your ego when you're hurting can be harmful, and it proves your lack of self-control. Being able to sit in the void and recognize that you deserve better is a superpower worth mastering. I know how tempting it is to seek the excitement because the gap between where you are now and the feelings you strive for are so large. If you find yourself going through a heartbreak right now, can you ask yourself what you really want? And no, I don't mean who. I mean, what do you want? I kid you not. I have 100% written a list of qualities that I'm looking for in a man because it's only when I am conscious about what I want that I can identify early if whoever I am seeing is on the same page as I am. This was after I believed a man that said he would never wanted to get married and have kids would change his mind for me because I'm so amazing. Don't be like me. Don't think that they will change their mind because they won't, especially not if you still stay. It wasn't until we cut contact 100% that he even considered if he wanted all with me. And even then, he didn't. The cliche, you don't know what you have until it's gone, holds some truth. So remember that when you are clinging on to someone who isn't reciprocating your energy, leaving them for your own self-respect and see if they follow. If they do, it's hope. If they stay true to your truth, And I say this because leaving them hurts too, meaning that you will feel a surge of relief when they come back. But it might get so intense that you forget all about the boundaries you set and they learn to take advantage again. But if they don't come back, then you saved yourself time from crawling down a rabbit hole far more painful than the initial distance you provide with the non contact rule. But do it at your own pace, because I do know how hard this is. The truth of the matter is that I walk down every path and I've learned the dance of a push and pull dynamic. I am becoming increasingly aware of how to treat men, and therefore I have an advantage. I am also no longer intimidated by men's truth. Therefore, I can observe without judgment, with an intention of understanding. A very inconvenient truth is that we are different and we have different needs. This is why I believe we need to share our stories and learn from each other. But the true superpower is knowing who you are, knowing what you're worth, and knowing what you want. Once you know what you provide and know you are a good choice, you no longer tolerate inconsistency and unalignment. So write a list of qualities you want in a person. You know why it's so impactful? Because as I was writing that list, it occurred to me that I am not even half of the things that I'm putting on this list. So how can I possibly attract and keep that when I have yet to learn what it's like to be that kind of person? I wouldn't know how to navigate that. I want to encourage you to become conscious about what it is that you want and stay conscious about becoming that person. And you know what I always say, stay curious and get to know yourself better. If you want to come share your version of how your attachment style manifested itself in your love life, please email me on magsmindset@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you.